So before we start the discussion with other contributors, I have a few slides. So what we will discuss is what are the barriers, what we can do against this non-equality. The first slide I want to show to you is the following. So there are two pictures there. The left, yeah, there is I have problem. We'll have to stand right. So starting with a garbage collector in Avignon, the right picture. Why did I choose this picture? First of all, so let me clarify why I choose this picture. Garbage collectors are the heroes of my childhood. And there are two reasons for this. The first is that they are a first link in the chain that enabled us to be here tonight, because they make life easier and just give us the possibility to do other things than just manage our garbage. So they are really very important in our lives. And there is a more personal reason why they were the heroes of my childhood, is because when I was 14 and I lost a friendship, the friendship of my best friend, I was very depressed for many, many months. And I sat at the bank, and at that time, a truck of garbage men passed, and a garbage man came to me and said to me, life is beautiful, go on. And I always remember these words, life is beautiful, go on, from this garbage man to me. And I want to mention that he didn't say, if you feel unhappy, kill yourself. He didn't say that. And so you think perhaps that this story is not related with what we are discussing, but it is, and let me translate it in a math context for you. So here's the translation. If you see a colleague facing difficulties, being depressed because he's trying hard to prove a theorem without success, don't tell to him, don't tell to her, because it can be a female colleague, don't tell to her, if you're unhappy doing math, do something else, which would be the translation of if you're unhappy, kill yourself. Tell to him or to her, math are beautiful, go on, go ahead and do. Because our ability to do math is also a matter of motivation, self-confidence, vital energy, and we need all of this. And male or female researchers are using this vital energy, and we have to use it to do science. So, well, that's my story. And when I'm trying to prove a theorem, I'm always remembering this garbage man, and he helped me a lot, actually. But despite the fact that garbage men were heroes of my childhood, I will not fight to increase the number of women in their community. Because I don't think that we need women in their community. I think we need women in the math community. So the second picture on the left is a picture of a workshop about integrability and quantization in 2013 in Dijon. And I don't know if you see well, but in the middle of this picture, you can see Yvette Kozman-Schwarzbach, which is really a top scientist in this field, and no other female. She's the only one. This is a pure mathematic topic. And this is in 2013. And she will retire soon. Why should there be more women in science? So the first thing is that the brain of a man and the brain of a woman use the same logical rules. We have the same logic. So there's no difference. We have the same ability to do research in science. The second point is that when knowledge meets needs, innovation can be created. And so here the picture of the Petite Curie, the little Curies of Marie Curie, which were mobile X-rays vehicle. She created them because she had the knowledge on the one hand, and she had the need on the other hand. And combining the both, she could improve and save life of many soldiers. So the conclusion is we not only need women in science, we need more diversity. And we need diversity in knowledge, so we should never let a field die. That's the first thing. And we need also diversity in human needs and human aspiration, in sexual orientation, cultural, religion, everything. The next slide, and then we go on with a discussion. I want to think of me as a high-level athlete of the brain. And I think you can understand this comparison because we are working hard on mathematics and computer science. So let me just make a comparison and tell you what are the motivation from the sportman to do sport or to what make an athlete run, actually. So we can identify three needs. The first one is the need of expertise. So we want to learn more. The second need is of independence. We want to do the things ourselves, and that's a need that is particularly well represented in childhood, where that's how children are growing up and learning. They want to be independent. The third one is the sense of belonging, and there I think we can change things to include more diversity in our community. When there is a sportman, usually there is a coach. So in our community, it will be perhaps the first coach will be the advisor, PhD advisor. So what are the role of a coach? The first one is always feedbacks, but in a reassuring way, and in aiming to dynamize the process, not to stop it. The second point is facilitate personal connection with people and groups in the field, in the community, and open possibilities. So next, we will continue with a discussion with so this is slide after that. So I'm very glad that we have many people and almost equality, parity here. So we will just follow the life of a scientist and perhaps comment on the difference between male and women in the phases of life. And perhaps we will see some invisible barrier. So in early life, are there any differences in the preparation of the students to scientific studies and the stimulation of the abilities necessary to succeed in science? So this first question, perhaps, Alice, you can tell something about it? So what are the differences in the preparation of the students?
Thank you. So I strongly believe that the differences that we observe in numbers, in science and in other fields come from way back, and I think they come from education even as children. So I would even say that it goes back to the way to the toys that are destined to girls and boys and to the activities. So, for example, toys for boys will be more about adventure, outdoors, construction, and reflection. That you can see with, I don't know, playing with dolls that represent superheroes or astronauts or and such. Construction also are mainly toys of construction are mainly destined to boys, whereas toys for females are less diverse. Mostly dolls. They they put the accent on aesthetics, indoor activities, probably social skills when you play with your friends, with your dolls. This seems like very small things, but I feel that it's it has big consequences. First of all, I think it creates differences between, it creates ideas about the roles that children think that women have and men have in society. Basically, toys for girls mimic the roles of the tasks of a housewife. Taking care of children, cooking, entertaining guests, and I've even seen toys about cleaning. And I'm not kidding. Like, I've seen toys where you're supposed to mop and iron and stuff like that. So this and still today, if you go in a toy shop and you look at the different toys, it's still very true. So I think it creates different ideas of the different roles. It also, I think, it develops different abilities, right? Up till now, I think no study has been able to show genetic differences between the abilities between men and women, and the brain is the plasticity of the brain means that you get a lot of you learn a lot after birth. So right, and just to finish, the third thing is I think it creates differences in ambition and probably also self-confidence, because while boys play with action figures that represent superheroes or astronauts or something like that, girls will play role-play stuff that is less valued by society.
Yeah. So I have a little boy, 5 years old, and when he came with a doll to the child care or to the, it was really, really, well, you can imagine, I think. So did you play with dolls? Yeah. Of course. Yes, but
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's only statistical. I'm sure that a lot of girls have played a lot of soccer and a lot of boys have played with dolls, but statistically it's still.
yes, but there is something. Do you have something to say about this early life, Nina or Loïc or Olivier? Sorry, I don't know your affiliation, so I thought, Olivier, can you just clarify your affiliation, because
it was completely false.
Okay, so it was completely false in the slide. So sorry.
So the affiliation slide is pretty old because it's my fault. It's because my research guide profile is not updated.
Okay,
for a
so
long time.
where are you now?
So now I'm with University Pierre et Marie Curie in the computer science lab.
Pierre et Marie.
Pierre et Marie Curie. Pierre in first.
Okay, and so have you something to add to this early life?
I'm not sure I have a lot of things to add on the words by Alice, but mainly I have a question. I don't understand the initialization of this process, because it's obvious there are toys for boys and for girls. it's obvious that there is a lot of influence from school and often from parents, but it's not clear for me where does it come from. Why are parents mainly buying toys for girls, tools for boys, toy for boys, for boys, and things like that? I don't understand this point.
I've seen this documentary that says that this dates back to, I think, the 50s, when marketing was a blooming discipline, and they realized that they could sell twice as many toys if they had gender-specific toys. So if you have a first child, it's a boy, you get him a red bike or neutral red bike, then your daughter will use the same. But if you buy a Spider-Man bike, then you need to buy another bike for your daughter. So it makes twice as money for the toy companies. And it's really a big business. And also that's when pink was also decided that it would be a girl's color. If you look back at Renaissance, pink was like light red, it was the colors for boys. Blue was the color of the Virgin Mary, so it was for the girls. And you can see in paintings of the Renaissance, you have light red for boys and blue for girls. It was switched. But it's just a question of marketing, I think.
So I think it's going back to unconscious bias that Nina was talking about. So, yeah. So what? Well, we should stop reproducing. We should think. Also, when we are buying a new toy for our child. Oh, sorry. Celui-là. Oui. 5 minutes. Okay. So this is a story I found on Facebook, actually. There is a documented study when, you see the slide, when women stopped coding. So before 1984, there were a lot of women in computer science, and it changed. And the reason they give is that computers were bought as toys and come to home, and they were designed for boys and not for girls. So this is just a toy story about designing toys for. So when you buy toys, think what is the image that it spreads. There is, sorry, that's the second question is in studies. So are there any obstacles in the orientation of women towards scientific studies? So what do you think? I repeat my question. Are there any obstacles to the orientation of women towards scientific studies? So in studies, why are there less women in science?
So maybe the unconscious bias that Nina explained is a part of the explanation, because, well, I don't have, as a man, I don't have any experiment, but I never heard a woman which wants to do maths and I don't know that the teacher say, okay, it's not good. You have excellent results, but maybe it exists, but you have excellent results, but it's not for you. I never heard, but maybe I miss it. But so I think that it's more
unconscious.
Unconscious, yes. That's why I think that it's probably the principal explanation, but maybe I miss one.
No, I agree with you. Maybe during the studies, it's not the unconscious bias of the person, the girl, but maybe the unconscious biases of the parents. And it was the case for me. didn't want me to go in science. They wanted me to be a translator so that I could translate very important people. And I was like, wait, no, I want to be the one that is going to be translated. But I'm not sure that they will have said that to my brothers. But actually, I think during the studies, the fact that you have exams, and as you said, it's quantified for math science, it's a very good thing because it kills the unconscious biases. I think what's more difficult is after the studies, when you don't have kind of that objective, quantitative measure of how well that person or that person did on an exam. And that after the study, at least for me, that I found it more present.
Alice, do you want to add something?
Actually, it's my parents also didn't want me to go into science, but maybe for another reason, I think the fact that there are so many men in science makes the field, I guess, scary for women. And my parents thought I would be unhappy in a field where there are so few women. So I think this is just this is going to be a virtuous cycle. More women there are, the more women can project in this profession, and probably more teenagers will relate to and go into science. So this is good.
Since that's well, is the mobility asked in scientific career an issue for you?
Yes.
Alice.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. I think it's hard for everybody when you are in a couple and both work. It's very difficult. I would think that statistically it's maybe more difficult for women to have their husband or boyfriend follow them. That's
That's exactly the two sets I have put in this slide, because the first slide is the first set. Sorry, is F1. It's the set of W inside woman. W stopped working and follow M inside man. I'm sure you have example of this situation. So this set is clearly non-empty. The second set, I call it H1 because H is for hero, is a set of men inside man who stopped working and followed a woman. I'm not sure if it's an empty set, but I don't know. And that's already a difference. Well, so the picture I wanted to show to you with this, with the mammoth. So we have to evolve from this time. As women, we can also, take care of the family and also bring money home. So what I wanted to say is, for men, don't hesitate to support your partner. And you don't have to feel less than if your woman is earning more than you. It's okay. You don't need to accept the social pressure that is on men to have better job position or to bring more money than his wife. You don't have to accept this pressure. We women can also take this responsibility for you. And we may like it, and you may like it too. So you can change also the way you look at it. So relax. You can enjoy being at home also. You can enjoy raising kids and hand over the values of equality, organizing home, taking time, being foresighted, taking time to order, to cook, to clean the toilets, because that's also a point. If you don't remember the last time you cleaned the toilets, ask yourself why. I think we can continue the discussion, but there... Yes, I will just propose...
The cookers are
So I have only 2 slides. Oh, 3, because there's Miriam at the end. So I would like to propose something that we can do to have more diversity and raise the number of female scientists. In schooling, well, if every male scientist take at least 1 woman as a PhD student, that would be great. And you have seen 2 very shining, they're shining bright, Alice and Nina. So I want to thank the advisors because they did a good job. So Frederic, you can just stand up. Marc is over there. And Xavier. And there are, of course, a lot more PhD advisors of women in this room, so thank you for that. The second thanks I want to do to give is also science is very safe community for a woman. I don't have heard about harassment and something like this. So, well, oh, okay. So we may discuss it. Okay, I'm sorry. So we can increase also the sense of belonging. So maintains the social connection with colleagues who cross difficulties, and this can be male also. Be inclusive. Do not judge a person by the number of publication, because you don't know what the people can do, and the history shows that 1 publication may lead you to go to posterity. So it may be sufficient. Make workshop more family friendly and fight prejudice. Educating people about taking into account maternity and parental leave. A woman in a list of authors is not a secretary. And there's things that institution can do. There are program research in pairs and groups. We can also do program in research in single, where a woman can be extracted from her home to do research. To the CNS institution, we should allow fellowship to be postponed for 1 year for parental or health reasons. This doesn't exist in France. There is a beautiful CERM conference center in Marseille. Well, it should be open for families also. I can tell you my story about this, attending a workshop there with my child, breastfeeding him, and yeah, but we can discuss it after, at the dinner. And to the university, create childcare centers near the apps that will help both parents. And women in committee, we don't want quota anymore. Yeah? No. Yes, we don't need more laws because exactly women in committee, so there is a percentage which is affected to women, and the result is that we are, yes, that we do only administration and not research anymore.
I think this can be discussed. I don't have a strong opinion on this, but I think that quota in institution or in team shows an example to the younger generation. And as such, this is a very powerful message, because for the high school students, if they see no female at all, they don't want to. But again,
yes, but present percentage can be, well, it should not be 50% in the math committee. That's, yes. And the last picture is we lost Miriam Marzaki this year. She's the first female to win the Fields medals. So this is the end of the story. So thank you very much.